Going into Dune Part 3, the biggest question hanging over the entire project was quite a daunting one. How on Arrakis is director Denis Villeneuve going to adapt Dune Messiah, a novel that is introspective, political, and deliberately anti-heroic? For years, many including myself wondered whether the book's quieter, more psychological tone could translate into a satisfying cinematic finale, especially after the operatic scale of Part 2. But the trailer that dropped the other day finally gave us a clear sense of Villeneuve's strategy, and it's a surprisingly bold one. He's leaning into the action thriller genre while still preserving the book's tragedy. The trailer immediately sets the tone by showing us glimpses of the Holy War, not just referenced but visualized. We see Paul's Fremen legions in full force, charging across burning battlefields, explosions lighting up the desert night, and the unmistakable sense that the jihad Paul tried to prevent has now spiraled far beyond his control. These aren't just action beats for spectacle, as they're narrative punctuation marks that externalize Paul's internal crisis. Shots of Fremen warriors storming other planets, combined with a haunting transformation of Paul, make it clear that Villeneuve is using the action as a storytelling tool, not a replacement for the book's introspection. And then there's the introduction of other new characters. We get Scytale, played by Robert Pattinson, whose eerie, almost otherworldly presence in the trailer signals the conspiracy element that defines Messiah. His unsettling appearance adds a layer of tension, and if you know his arc in the book, you know that he has the potential to become a great villain for the cinematic medium. His character's deceptive nature hints at a more psychological, paranoia-driven conflict than the open warfare of the previous films. Alongside him, we get shots of Anya Taylor-Joy as Aaliyah Atreides, Paul's powerful and enigmatic sister. Her appearance alone suggests that Villeneuve might be leaning into the more stranger, metaphysical aspects of Dune Messiah, embracing the unsettling tension between destiny, lineage, and the cost of power. In just a few minutes of footage, the director seems to be giving us a finale that is grand, tragic, and unflinchingly honest about the price of Paul's empire. It's clear that Villeneuve isn't just adapting Messiah, he's confronting it head-on, embracing its discomfort, its strangeness, and its philosophical weight. I think that he's going to balance the cerebral with the visceral, an adaptation that respects Herbert's themes while embracing the cinematic language needed to conclude a trilogy of this scale. At the trailer launch event, Villeneuve said something that immediately reframed expectations in that his final Dune movie will feel like a different film, and I think the trailer absolutely reflects that. To start with a new cinematographer in Linus Sandgren, the visual language has shifted. It still feels unmistakably Villeneuve, but with a new colour palette that reflects a change in the story and an introduction of new places from the Holy War period. This visual evolution further mirrors the emotional evolution of the characters, especially with Paul and Chani, who now carry the weight of leadership, loss, and impending parenthood. Again, many people were worried, including myself, that with cinematographer Greg Fraser not doing the cinematography on Part 3, that the film would somehow lose its identity. But just in the footage we get, I think Sandgren looks to be doing a fantastic job with a sense of both the familiar and the new in how the shots are framed, how the camera moves, and how it looks. Add on that this will be the first time Denis has chosen to shoot in proper IMAX film, and you can imagine how detailed some of this footage is going to appear in the format. Furthermore, Hans Zimmer's new musical direction is also felt in the trailer's soundscape. Instead of the ethereal, almost spiritual tones of the first two films, the score here pulses with tension, using percussion-heavy, sharper, and more paranoid music. And not to mention the power that the chant by Timothée Chalamet brings to it all as well. It all fits perfectly with Messiah's themes of political intrigue and the suffocating pressure of Paul's empire. And it underscores the thriller identity that Villeneuve promised, giving the trailer a sense of urgency that feels fresh for the franchise. Performance-wise, the trailer further hints at some of the trilogy's most emotionally charged work. Timothée Chalamet's Paul looks older, more haunted, carrying the burden of a destiny that he no longer believes in. But we also see the evolution of that as we cut back and forth between the war and the 17 years later during Messiah's story. So all of these elements, from the new visual identity, the evolved performance of Chalamet, and the thriller pacing, align perfectly with Dune Messiah being a fundamentally different kind of story. The trailer makes it clear that Villeneuve isn't just adapting the book, he's using its tonal shift as an opportunity to craft a finale that stands apart, while still feeling like the inevitable culmination of everything that came before. So if Dune Part 3 sticks the landing, Villeneuve's trilogy has a real chance to become the defining cinematic saga of this generation. A set of films that I think can be on the level of The Lord of the Rings or even the Dark Knight trilogy. And the trailer gives us several reasons to believe that that's possible. Like Return of the King, this film appears to embrace the full weight of its mythology. The holy war sequences, the political conspiracies, the emotional fractures between Paul and Chani, all of it feels like the natural crescendo of a story that has been building for 2 films. The scale is massive, but it's the emotional stakes that make it all feel mythic. Just as The Lord of the Rings delivered an ending that was both epic and personal, I think Dune Part 3 looks poised to do the same, but in its own way. Unlike the Dark Knight trilogy, the film is grappling with the consequences of a character's rise. Paul isn't a flawed hero, he's a man crushed by the weight of prophecy, power, and unintended destruction. And for me, what truly makes this trailer work is the way it captures a sense of finality. You could argue that while Dune Messiah is the end of Paul's story, a lot happens beyond it. But if you're making a trilogy on Paul Atreides, you have to focus on that and make this a fitting culmination cinematically. And the way this trailer was edited, I think it is definitely able to capture that. Every frame feels like the closing chapter of a grand myth, and the evolved aesthetic and everything on show point toward a film that isn't just wrapping up a story, but completing a cinematic vision that Villeneuve has been building for nearly a decade. And not to mention that the director is adding scenes and expanding upon the Holy War period to really tell this story with more depth in the 17 years following Dune Part 2. It's going to be interesting to see how Villeneuve approaches elements that weren't in this trailer, or we don't think was shown, like the character of Edric, Saitel's shapeshifting abilities, the relationship between Aaliyah and Hate, and all the heavy drama featured in the scenes with Paul in Arrakis. Like, I think he will have to capture a lot of these moments because they are some of the most important parts of the Messiah story. But hearing Villeneuve say during the trailer launch event that Messiah is his favourite Dune book, as it is mine too, it does make me very excited to see how he'll go about adapting it at length. If the final film delivers on what this trailer gave us, then I think Dune Part 3 could very well become the trilogy-defining masterpiece of our era, an achievement that can put it alongside the greatest cinematic trilogies ever made. We'll have to see, as a trailer doesn't mean it's automatically going to be good, especially when you have to adapt such a difficult novel like Dune Messiah. But as a first look at the final film, I think it absolutely delivered. Much more videos and news on Denis Villeneuve's Dune universe, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.